All right, so today we're diving into something really special, a whole life story, and we get to piece it together, kind of like, I don't know, Heart Detectives or something, from this video tribute. We're trying to learn about this guy, Elkanah Eisenberg.
Yeah, it's really something else. It's like a puzzle made of memories. See, we've got this video, mostly in Hebrew, and it's full of these really powerful emotions, even though it jumps around a bit.
I see what you mean. It's like, when someone puts their heart and soul into something, and it's our job to help everyone else see the picture they're painting, right?
Exactly. And the cool thing is, I can help us understand all the little things that make the Hebrew so meaningful.
Perfect. So where do we even begin?
Well, it all starts on August 6th, 1940. That's the day Elkanah was born. And not just any place, but in Hadera, Israel. Can you imagine 1940, World War II is going on, and here's Elkanah making his grand entrance.
Talk about making it interesting. Okay, so 1940, Israel, what else?
So the family ends up in Pardes Hana. That's where he spends his childhood with his parents, Oro and Yael. And get this, his father, Oro, was an officer in the British Army.
During the war.
Yeah. The video actually says that Elkanah spent a good chunk of his early years with just his mom because his dad was away serving.
Wow, I bet that wasn't easy.
It makes you think, a father figure gone for so long, especially during those early years, it has to shape you. How did it affect Elkanah's sense of independence or his relationship with his family or even his worldview? It's fascinating to consider.
Wow, when you put it that way, it's like we can already see those early experiences shaping who he'd become.
It's like we're seeing echoes of his future self in his childhood.
It's amazing how those early years can have such a ripple effect in our lives, isn't it?
Huh.
Okay, so what about school?
Well, elementary school was in Pardes Hana. He graduates in 52 and then goes to agricultural high school, also in Pardes Hana.
So there's a connection to the land already.
Absolutely. And get this, his father, Oro, worked there too as an instructor. Imagine young Elkanah walking those same paths, learning from his father, maybe even questioning him as he got older.
It's like a story within a story. So we've got Elkanah learning about the land, practical skills and all, and then bam, at 16, he makes a huge change.
He decides to leave agricultural school and goes to a military boarding school in Haifa instead.
Really? Wow. Talk about a change of pace.
Yeah.
Why the sudden switch? What do you think was going through his head?
That's a great question. It's not easy being a teenager, and to make that choice, that kind of structure, the discipline, and let's be honest, potential danger, it tells us he was looking for something different.
It's like he's choosing his own adventure, even at that age. But the video makes a point of showing he was still super close with his family. They even highlight how close he was to his grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone.
It seems like a contradiction, right? Wanting to forge his own path, but also being deeply tied to his family. But it actually reminds me of something you mentioned earlier, his love for dogs, even as a kid.
Oh, you're right. They did show a lot of pictures of him with dogs.
A love for dogs usually means you really value loyalty and companionship. It might not seem like much, but I think it really shows us what kind of person Elkanah was.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. What happens next?
So he graduates from military boarding school in 58, and boom, he's drafted. It was mandatory back then, but still, what a moment, right?
And not just any assignment. He ends up in the Armored Corps, a tank commander, leading Sherman tanks. Can you imagine the responsibility, especially at that age?
It's incredible when you think about it. The mental strength you need, the leadership to command a tank, to make those split-second decisions. It's a testament to his character.
He definitely seems like someone who faced everything head on. So 1961 rolls around, he's finished his service, and what does he do? Goes back to Pardes Hana, back to his roots, helping his father cultivate citrus seedlings. It's like this return to simplicity after all that intensity.
It's like a pause, a breath, but not the end of the story. And a year later, sure enough, he's off again. This time to the Techni in Haifa to study mechanical engineering.
Wow, from citrus seedlings to engineering, that's quite a leap.
Right. It makes you wonder, did his time in the military spark this, seeing engineering in action on such a large scale? Or was it something deeper, maybe a desire to build something that had always been there?
I love how many questions come up just from looking at one person's life. And speaking of stories, this is where a big one begins. Elkanah's love story with Judith.
Oh yeah, the video almost feels like a movie here. Judith tells the story of how they met. It was December of 65. She was out with friends and, well, as luck would have it, Elkanah was there too.
At first sight, right?
Yeah.
The video actually uses those words.
It does. And even through the transcript, you can hear how much it still means to Judith all these years later.
So they start writing letters to each other, wanting to know everything about each other. It's classic, And happening during such a tumultuous time, don't forget, it's the 60s. The Middle East is on edge.
And then in 1967, the Six-Day War begins. But right before that, like a month before, Elkanah and Junith get married.
What a whirlwind of emotions that must have been. Starting their lives together, but with so much uncertainty in the air.
Talk about a crash course in, for better or worse. And then, almost as soon as their honeymoon is over, Elkanah is called back into service. The video even mentions a book, Men of Steel, that talks about what he did during the war.
Wow. Their story is so connected to these major historical events. It really makes you think about the impact on their relationship, how strong they must have been to get through those early years of marriage with the weight of war on their shoulders.
It seems like resilience was a big part of Elkanah's life. And even with everything going on, they built a life together, eventually settling in Arad. Elkanah became an engineer at the Dead Sea Works.
The Dead Sea Works. What is that?
Basically, it's this huge operation extracting minerals from the Dead Sea, potash, magnesium, things like that. It's tough, demanding work, and Elkanah was right there in the middle of it, putting his engineering skills to work.
A far cry from those citrus seedlings.
You know, it's funny how life works out that way. All those experiences, even the ones that seem totally unrelated, they all build on each other. And speaking of building, their family started to grow during this time too. Yosef was born in 68, Shmuel in 71, and then Gideon in 79.
3 boys. The video shows these great little glimpses of them swimming in the Dead Sea, family vacations, those everyday things that turn into the best memories. It's like Elkanah was creating stability and joy in the middle of all the chaos.
It shows how much family meant to him, that he wanted to make a good, loving home for his sons no matter what. And remember, this is still a time of a lot of conflict and uncertainty. In 73, the Yom Kippur War breaks out. Elkanah is called up again, fighting in the Sinai Peninsula.
Another war, another separation. It's hard to imagine the emotional toll it took on everyone. But once again, they get through it. The video shows them moving to a new house in Arad, and there's this really touching interview with Elkanah. He talks about how Arad was like this ideal community to him, a place where people from all walks of life could come together and build something better. It's really something, to build a life like that with so much love and purpose, even with all the tough times. Speaking of purpose, it wasn't all work and family for Elkanah, was it? This next part is really cool, his passion for skiing.
Yeah. The video just lights up when they talk about skiing. It mentions a trip to Davos. It's like it opened up a whole new world for Elkanah.
Seriously. From engineer, dedicated family man to, like, king of the slopes. Do we get to see him in action?
Oh, yeah, there's footage, and it's great. He's just gliding down, and not just that, he's sharing it with his sons. They even tell this funny story about him leading everyone in a sing-along on one of the trips.
Oh, I can totally picture that.
Yeah.
It shows that fun-loving side of him, He wasn't all serious business all the time.
It's like a good reminder, isn't it? Life can be tough, but we got to make room for joy, for adventure. Elkanah definitely got that.
It just adds another layer to who he was, Strong, capable, but also playful, full of life. It makes you think about what people will remember about us, doesn't it?
It's a big question, for sure. But I think Elkanah's story tells us that it's those small moments, the things we share with people, that really stick with them.
So true. Okay, as we get to the end of the video, there's this shift. It's subtle, but it's there. It's like the mood changes a bit.
Yeah, it's almost like the family is trying to figure out how to tell the rest of the story, The transcript mentions Elkanah's dream trip to New Zealand, a big adventure all planned out. You can practically feel the excitement as they talk about getting ready, the anticipation.
They were going to hike those amazing trails, see those breathtaking views he'd always dreamed of. It's like everything we've learned about him, his love for travel, his adventurous spirit was building up to this.
And that's what makes the next part so powerful. You can hear it in Judith's voice, even just reading the words, how emotional it still is for her to describe what happened, how suddenly, during the trip, Elkanah got sick.
It's subtle, but you can feel how real that memory is, even after all these years.
The video fades to photos then, smiles frozen in time. It's a reminder that life is precious, and sometimes it can change in an instant.
It's like we've been on this amazing journey with Elkanah, and then, just as quickly as life can change, the journey ends.
It's hard, there's no doubt about that. But it also makes you think about his life as a whole, a life full of love, commitment, and this constant search for joy. That's a powerful legacy, even without saying a word.
That's beautifully put. It makes me think about how Elkanah wanted to make the world a better place. And in a way, by sharing his story, by letting us get to know him, even though he's gone, His family is doing just that. They're reminding us about what's important, things like love, adventure, connecting with each other, and living a life that makes a difference.
I couldn't agree more. We might only have had this glimpse into who Elkanah was, but we can all learn from him, find some inspiration, and carry those lessons with us.
It really is a beautiful tribute. And to everyone listening, we hope this has meant something to you today. It's a reminder to cherish the people you love, try new things, and make each day count. Because in the end, it's those stories we create, the connections we make that become our legacy.